let's begin the show, and here we can go ahead and get started. So, what is our learning lab going to be today about? We're going to help you better understand how to perform a smooth IDERA Embarcadero Licensing Center installation that will set the stage for success. So, the premise of this learning lab is going to be just on what are some of the key takeaways on how to perform a successful ELC install. So the session guidelines will be, we would be having time at the end for questions and discussion, as well as we can feel free to post questions in the Q&A box so that we can respond to them accordingly. We are unable to address specific tickets or cases during this session, so please reach out to your product support if you have any questions. So let's talk about what are going to be the learning objectives. So you've just purchased ER Studio Enterprise Team Edition, and it's a concurrent license, so congratulations on that. You will now need to set it up. So how do we actually go about doing so? So the primarily four objectives is how to set up the ELC, host the license, download the license onto the machine that you have installed ER Studio, and finally importing that license into the product. So these are going to be the four use cases that we'll be walking you through. So let's go ahead and switch screens here. So I'm just going to go ahead and navigate to my ELC machine here. So in this ELC machine, the first thing we would do is we would go ahead and acquire the Embarcadero license product. So here we can go to our docwiki.embarcadero.com. Oh, give me a second here. So here we are at the ELC licensing center, and this is where the documentation will take you to the main page. And the very first thing you'll have to do is go to the ELC Quick Start, and from here you can actually go ahead and download the installer. Okay, so here you can actually go ahead and download the installer. And one of the key things that you'll be doing is making sure that your firewall team has, at least at a bare minimum, the 5567 port open, or 5580 or 5583, depending upon whether you're using HTTP or HTTPS. The following other two ports are optional, so where you can actually have this. And if you would like to have the products downloaded onto your ELC, you would then open up this particular port. Let's say, for example, you're in an air-gapped environment and you would like to go ahead and set this up. Here you can actually go and copy this URL and go into a location where you have this in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into the ELC machine and get the credentials. So let me just go ahead and get the credentials here, if I can open this up. So in your email, you would have been received a license certificate number, a login name, and a password. And here I'll just go ahead and copy this. And mind you, this will be deleted as soon as this webinar is over. So now what I'd like to do is to come in here, paste that. And again, I'll come and copy this. So right here, you can see that I have a order number and a license certificate number. Now this is where you will have to gather all this information. So right now, here you can see when what type of license you have and what is the license count and when it was first hosted and when it will be expired. So here you can click on the host location. And here you'll just have to put in the host name. Since I've already hosted this, but this is being disabled. But when you're hosting it for the first time, you're allowed to put in the host name. So typically, what people do is that they just put in the first part of the computer name, and if they're part of a domain, they would usually put in the host name .hostdomain.com if you would like the host address. But for just the hosting, this will be what that is required as part of the uh, hosting process. And once you click next, this is in case if you would like to have a backup server. So right now you can enable, like install the ELC on a subsequent host, and then just click on enable backup server host, and that should also be able to fail over for you in case of a redundancy. Yeah, so, but in our case, we're not doing any of this. Here, what I'll do is I'll click on the host name and verify that these are the details I need, and just hit finish. Following this, I will go ahead and choose download, and this will go ahead and download the slip file. So I've gone ahead and already done that here. And what comprises of this zip file here? So I can actually go ahead and extract all. And these are the contents of the zip file. And here I can actually go ahead and copy these onto my ELC machine. And this I'm demonstrating in case if it's in an air gap system, how you'd go about doing it. Next, what I'll do is I'll go into my web browser, and here I'll just type in localhost 5580. And this brings you to the main admin center. Okay, so this is where you can actually go ahead and put in the username. The default username and password is admin, all lowercase. We'll go ahead and hit login. And here you can see we can go into license hosting. And this is where I performed the same process, right? I went into the, if I am in an air gap system, I actually had to download the files. But if you're actually going to have internet on that license server, you could just provide the same credentials like I did before. So once you enter the login name, the password, and the license certificate number, you can click on host licenses. And once you've clicked on host licenses, you can come into the licenses section and look at all the list of concurrent the products that you're licensed for. In our case, we're interested in the ER Studio Enterprise Team Edition, all platform for this. So right now, what you'll do is you'll go under concurrent users, and you will say add entry. And here you can choose from any host name and any username. So you can choose that and make sure you check the all section. And you have the option on how you would like to have the license available, let's say for 7 days offline usage, in case if you're not able to access the server. So I'll click add. And here I can choose save to file. Excellent. So now what we'll do is we'll try to keep an eye on the connected users here, okay? So right now we have no licensed users being connected. Before we do that, let me bring your attention to the Go to Catalog section. So once I have this, I'll open this in a new tab. And here you should see the various versions of the product. So if I click on ER Studio 20, this will actually go ahead and give you a link that your end users can just put in the host name with 5580, and they can log in with admin, and they can come in here and download the slip file, sort of like a self-service portal, if you will. So all I have to do is just click on download, and here's my slip file. So here I already have one of those, so I'm deleting that. And you also have the license extractor utility that will also give you the same process. So now that we have the license file in our download section that you can see here, I can actually go ahead and launch Data Architect, which I've installed on this machine. And this brings me to this dialog. So this is where I would actually go ahead and import the license. Now, unlike a workstation license, you're not entering a serial number, but you're actually importing a slip file. So here I'm going to go under the license management, choose import, and from the downloads, I'm going to go ahead and choose concurrent license. This is going to initialize the process of importing that license that is going to talk to that license server that we have. So here you can see, this is the host name, this is the license server here. So if I go ahead and hit done, it's going to go ahead and launch the product. So everything looks good. And here, if I go and show you the about, it says this is a concurrent floating license. Okay. Now, if we go back to the ELC, we need to look at the status on the connected users. So now if I hit refresh, now it'll say that this is the username, this is the actual host name, it's the license, and it's online. There you go. So that was how easy it was to go ahead and set up by acquiring a concurrent license. And the same thing holds true for the named user license. The only difference would be you would actually have to add that username from that, but it can be from any host. And one of the key troubleshooting tips I would recommend is first, go and take a look at your Windows firewall, okay? So for some reason, if you're having all the firewall rules that are on here, and if it's on the same machine, you should be fine. But if it's on a different machine, you'll have to go in here and add the inbound rules here. And I'm going to show you how. So right click on the advanced thing and choose new inbound rule wizard and choose port. And we'll choose next. And here we'll specify those ELC ports. So 5567, 5580 for the admin portal. And if any other ports you would like to open, you can open. But right now it's these two that are the most essential ones. Then you can choose the allow connection and you can choose at the various profiles that you would like to enable it for. So here I'm just going to call it ELC. So now it is all enabled. So now it's on the same machine, so it's not a problem. But if you want to look at anything other than that, you have to specify those firewall ports in order for you to get access. Now, what we'll do is we can actually go back to our presentation. So what did we do? These are some of the key takeaways. We downloaded the ELC, we hosted the license, and we tested it by importing the license into the product. So those were some of the key areas for the learning lab. This is a very short learning lab because most of our customers, if they do take longer than this, it's usually meaning that they do not have the firewall ports open. They're connected through a different set of domains. And if they're also on a different subnet, they run into all these kind of networking issues. But most of the time, if they're all on the same subnet and if they have the firewall rules open, the process should be pretty seamless as you have seen today. What I would like to do now is to take some time, and here you can actually go ahead and take a picture of this barcode, and then you can scan it, and I'll leave this page up here, and I'm happy to answer any questions.